we go. And
Cool.
we're live, I think. People from chat,
Hey.
can you hear us? Put a thumbs up if you
Hello?
can.
Hello.
Let me play this really quick so there's no silence. I don't know if they can hear us. Wait a minute. Let me check on the... Oh yeah, thumbs up.
We're live.
Okay.
We're live. We're live.
Nice. All right. Okay. So I'm gonna blow this up. So I'm gonna be playing a playthrough of the visual novel in the background. Just so you guys can see the art style and how beautiful it is. Asphyxia, yeah, the track that everybody is scared of. Let me know how the volume is, because I don't want an echo like last time. I think I can see it on OBS here too. Okay, it looks like the volume is okay. We can ask questions. Wait, what? Yeah, you can ask questions, yeah. Joining me today, we have two of the artists, the sprite artists for the males, that's Elface, and for the background, Euphony, is that how you pronounce it? I always get it wrong.
You can just say UFO.
UFO. So we're gonna go through a couple of questions, talking about how the visual novel was made, the art style and stuff like that. And we're gonna talk about like how it meshes with the writing and like the music, because it's pretty difficult when it comes to like visual novels. A lot of people have like the weird notion that, oh yeah, it's really easy, you just gotta paste all this stuff together and you'll have like something good. But like you have to make sure the tone is right and the style matches, especially if you have different artists that work together. And yeah, it's a lot of work. So let me pull up the questions here. Okay, the general involvement. So we're gonna start with that section here. So I'm gonna ask UFO really quick. What initially drew you into the Lucid9 world? Like, how did you get involved in the project? How did you learn about it? And why did you decide to like get involved?
Oh, this is such a big throwback. Just thinking about how we all came together, and I think the most obvious and common link for all of us was at some point. I'm sure we all probably read Katawa Shoujo, and we would have been scouring forums at the time. So you know, back then there wasn't really many avenues for visual novel discussion. There was like a couple. I think Lemosoft was one of them. But I came across a forum post by a particular person, Dia, and that was posted on fuanovel.net. I don't know if the site's still around, but there was a post for a project call, and it really stood out amongst everything else because of the artwork. So huge props and shout out to Dizzy. But at the time, I didn't know what her art style was based on or influenced by until I joined the team. But it was really high quality, and it sucked me in straight away because I've never seen a OEL visual novel project at that standard before, even though it was just the artwork. And it's kind of funny to think about because, you know, visual novels, 2 words, but when it comes to conceptualization and getting people to join your team and stuff, the first thing they see is the visual stuff. So I think Dia has a guide now on Full Novel about recruitment, but no, that just hit me like a truck. I think for a lot of people who've joined since then were also influenced by the art because it was really cute art and really well done. So, you know, I saw that and I was like, holy shit, I want to join. It was just simple as that, right? So I messaged, I can't remember if I posted on the forum or if I joined the Discord first. Oh no, it was Skype back then. Holy, we're old.
Skype.
It was Skype back then. We were on Skype.
Yeah, I remember.
You remember Alpha? I wonder how many people will remember that. So yeah. There was I don't know how you remember how we all got together, David. I blank out at that part. But it all started on fullnovel.net for me on that fateful day.
I think you guys are like, you've been around longer than I have. I think you joined the team way before I did. You want to talk about that really quick, Elface? How you joined?
How I joined? I'm actually looking for the moment I joined on my DeviantArt currently.
Oh.
Because this talk is strong. I should have a very specific message from the very same person, Diamonet. And I'm like scrolling my mailbox right now, and I probably missed it. But I was invited. I found it. September 8th, 2014, I got a very long mail on my DeviantArt account. And the title is, "Hey, would you be interested in becoming an artist for a visual novel project?" So what happened? It was a very, it was like a coincidence. So I was just like posting art on DeviantArt at the time, like fan arts and some originals. And I talked to Diamond about it, like, and Dia said that he went around asking artists, and there was one particular artist he was thinking of, but they didn't answer. But he went and looked at their likes, and among those likes was one of my art. Because I drew like a fan art as a birthday gift for an artist I looked up to, and he found my birthday gift art, and from there he found my account or profile and sent me a message like that. And similar to a UFO, like the fact that there were already like art like by Dizzy, so I could see that it was already like in development, and that Lucid9 was like a serious project. So I was like, yes. And I always wanted to join a project, so that's how it went down.
We were so lucky that you accepted that, by the way, Alpha. At the time, we were so desperate for a sprite art. we put out like casting calls on forums and stuff, and then no, it wasn't baiting anyone in. So Dia had to put on his bootstraps and head over to DeviantArt, and then he had to like spam a bunch of people.
I remember I was so excited to get like an invitation for a project. At that moment, I've actually never played a visual novel before, so I was actually new to the medium. I knew what it was, but I'd never played it. So
wait, what?
That's surprising.
Really? That is a shocker.
I always thought you read at least like some of them. So I guess your situation is kind of like Megan, because Megan didn't really play anything either. Because I think her reasoning was because she was using Mac, and like not a lot of visual novels were like on MacBooks, because Mac being Mac doesn't like games.
Oh, yeah, I think like the closest thing to a visual novel before that was maybe 999. Or I don't know if I played it before or after joining. It was in, let's see. Yeah. In 2014, yeah, I don't think I played visual novels before that.
Whoa.
Okay, yeah, I think Dan probably recommended that to you, because from what I remember, I think Dan and Dia told me that Lucid9 was like sort of inspired by 999 in some way. I don't know exactly how, but because I've never read it myself, but they said that it was like they took inspiration for some elements. I'm like, oh, cool. They recommended it to me, and I never got around to it. They recommended a lot of visual novels to me, and I never got around to it. But,
Oh,
yeah.
Maybe then. I don't remember why I played 999. I just remember playing it at some point for some reason, but I don't remember why. Oh, that might be the source then.
Yeah, for me, the big one was like Katawa Sojo, and I guess that goes for most people like in the visual novel indie scene. Like KS when it came out, it was like, wow, this the quality of this, like, it's so crazy. We should try making it ourselves. And for a while, like I wanted to make a visual novel myself, by myself, like with no team or anything. So I tried doing that. I wrote a script for the story, but then I got to the art part, and I tried making the backgrounds and the sprite characters, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna do this by myself. I can't make a visual novel. And then, not to mention like the programming side of things, like I have no experience with that at all. And so I went on Lemasoft, and Lemasoft and Fua Novel are still around actually. And I think I saw Dia's post asking about recruitment for a lead writer, and I'm like, yeah, I like writing. It's probably the only thing I can do really well. So I applied, and he's like, okay, just take this test, and if you do well, then you're in. And I wonder if I can find that test. But I'm pretty sure that their writing quality back then was like not very good, considering it was like way back in 2014, and I was in high school around then, I think. But he's like, well, it was good enough for us. Plus, we need a lead writer pretty bad, so you're on the team. I'm like, cool. And then, but the thing that dragged me in, it wasn't Dia's post, but like the art. I'm like, oh, these characters look cute. It looks high quality. They look serious about creating a visual novel. I want to be on the team. And yeah, that dragged me in. And it's nice to see that a lot of people like who joined our team is like the big thing that visual novels is like the visual aspect pretty much is like make or sell. If you have a really nice art style, then people are gonna naturally try it out. And that's one thing I'm really grateful for, that you guys joined the team and made something like this, and we managed to like get where we are today. But that's how I joined personally. Somebody asked what type of questions there were on the test. I don't remember. I think Dia just wanted me to like write a scenario. I think it was for like the first day, and I just wrote a scenario for based on the characters they wrote. But yeah, did Dia put you guys through any tests, or you guys just like joined right away? UFO?
Back then, because it was still early conception, and a bit more passion driven, we were all kind of all over the place. So I think what happened was there was some early concept art that Dizzy had put out that was on the forum post, and I think one of the characters, Misaki, was there. So what I did was I started drawing. I used her as a base, and I started drawing Misaki in like a what if scene, and I believe it was like a Matsuri festival kind of concept. So I just had like a fake CG art of that, and I sent it along with my message, and Dia saw that, and I think he was just impressed that someone bothered to do that at the time. And in hindsight, it wasn't that good because it was very unfinished. I think there was like no colors in it. It was just very base flat colors. Yeah, that was it. That was the test. And then after that, I just got invited straight away, and yeah, that was how I got in.
So I figure that Elphase, since you were recruited, he didn't ask for like any additional like art from you.
No, I kind of just joined, and then I got like the tasks on what to do, and that's basically how it went. So I didn't have any tests. I didn't even know you guys had tests.
Oh yeah, yeah. We had a lot of tests. Like at least from the writer's side, we had to make a lot of stuff for the writers. Cause
Whoa.
yeah, I'll show you guys one day. Maybe this month I'll show you guys like the stuff we had to go through.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I'm gonna go through some of the questions here because they're asking about the art.
Yeah.
So Spartan Cupcake, they're asking. I wanted to ask in advance: was a redesign of certain characters' hairstyle and body proportions in the sequel a deliberate move with a planned narrative, technical, or artistic importance? So if you want to touch on that, Elphase?
For me, the thing is that when I joined, like Dizzy had already designed, like drawn the girls, right? So I was there for the like drawing the males, and both then and now my focus was to like match her style so that it doesn't look too like different. But when I look back on my first draft, it looks. I remember we put out a demo, and man, the head proportions of the characters I drew, they were so tiny, they were so small. It looks really off. So I actually went and redid the sprites. So for me, it has always been to like match Daisy as much as possible. Though I do have more creative freedom with the guys. But I did actually design one of the girls in the second part, and I remember that being challenging, because replicating another person's style is quite difficult.
Have you drawn many girls compared to guys?
For me, I feel like it's kind of 50-50. At least where I'm currently at, I would say it's very 50-50.
Nice. Yeah, some artists that I talk to, they're like they're either like really female focused or like male focused because of like just how the way they draw. So it's pretty cool. Like you're able to do like both genders that way.
Yeah.
So the question too, they're asking about the changes in hairstyle. I mean, when the changes in like art style in general compared to like the first part. And Elphase, you brought something up really interesting that when you first started like drawing, you saw the difference in quality between like how you first started drawing to now, and how much you've improved over the years. And that's one of the things that's playing on this as well. The fact that Lucid9 came out in 2016, but the art style, the sprites were drawn a few years before that, I think, or a couple of months before that. So it's even earlier.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the sequel, the fact that it's like we're making it right now, and 2016 was way back then, that the art style is naturally going to be different. So that plays into it. But narratively as well, which is works in our favor, coincidentally, the fact that it takes place a couple of years after what happens in the first part. And the change kind of like fits in with that, because the characters, you can say that they've aged, older, and you can see that reflected in the art style. And so that's one of the reasons as well. It's just the fact that it fits narratively, and the fact that the artists improve themselves over time, so it's going to be a bit different than how it was originally. I'm sure it was that way for you as well, UFO. when it comes to the backgrounds?
Oh yeah. Truth be told, I don't know how many people know this, but when I first joined, I was on the male sprite team, but that never came to fruition. I think that was during senior year of high school when I sent that message. But I actually left at some point for about 6 months to focus on studies and whatnot. So when I came back, I messaged Dia and I was like, "Hey, Dia, I feel so guilty." There was definitely a lot of there was definitely a lot of guilt, a lot of pleading, because it felt like it was the first sort of project that I ever joined, so it definitely weighed on my mind in the months. So once school started clearing up, I asked Dia if there was still a spot open, and it turned out that we needed a background artist. I didn't know what I was getting into at the time, but that was just like a whole nother thing. First off, there was like no tutorials for any sort of background related thing back then. I think there was this one guy on Lemisoft that would post like 3D generated assets, but it was still a very new thing. Like I know Katawa Shoujo had like photographs that had like a filter applied to make it look like artwork. That was like, this is like no AI. This is like pre-AI era. So we had nothing to go by. And a lot of visual novels that were made, like Japanese ones, like no one knew how they did that. Like, I don't know, Japanese artists are crazy. Like when you look at the visual novels from back then, they're like at an insane level of quality. Like Grisaia no Kajitsu, and what was that? One of Makoto Shinkai's movies probably was like available to watch back then too. But yeah, I don't think either of us knew what Pixiv was back then, so we didn't have much to go by. So Dia asked if I could do background art, and I was like, nope, but I'll take it anyway. So we just started building on top of what I think we did have another background artist, Buri. I'd also like to shout her out, even though she's not with us anymore. She was definitely filling in at the time with the background art. So just having to go back and do all of that again and learn how to do it was really challenging because the resources weren't there. But somehow, I don't know how Dia found this, there was a very new and old blog at the time made by this guy. I can't remember his name, but the website is mcleland.com or .net. He had a bunch of visual novel background tutorials, and a lot of it was inspired by Makoto Shinkai and that sort of art from one of those movies. So he had a bunch of tutorials out, and Dia basically sent me this link, and he was like, "Hey, UFO, try learning this." And it was impressive because every step was broken down one by one. I learned how to use Photoshop. I learned how to use like different layers and how to use brushes to paint stuff, and we just built up from there. So a lot of the early artwork in the alpha version, and I think you can see this in some of the CGs as well, is that a lot of that had like a weird paint over quality to them. That's because at the time, that's what I was trained on. So, goddamn, MC Leland really threw us a bone in that era. I don't think they'll ever watch or listen to this, but huge props and thank you for that. So, once we got past that hump of, as I kept doing background art, I slowly got better and better. I dipped my feet into actual digital art itself. I basically had no art fundamentals or knowledge at the time, so I had to learn how to do perspective and everything else. And once I was comfortable enough, that's when I started moving to line drawings for a lot of the artwork. And I think as you play the visual novel, if you pay close attention, you can just see that progression from paint over to really bad lines to a bit cleaner line work. and just the visual fidelity just increases as it's gone on. So it's kind of fun to look at. It's like a visual progression of my improvement over the years in this project, which is, hopefully you don't see that once the Kickstarter is fully funded. Ideally, our artwork is just all bangers from the get-go, right? But yeah, that's how that improvement happened over the course of, well, I want to say like 4 or 5 years. It took a long time to get there, but yeah, now it's crazy. I think, yeah, without this team, I probably won't be doing art. Or probably wouldn't have been doing art at the time. So yeah,
It was actually your first time like doing backgrounds too, right? When you first joined the team.
Yeah. I had no idea. Like, in the artwork that I was doing was vector-based design and illustration in my classes, and some character art, but it wasn't really that good. If you guys saw the initial design concept for Yama, you would probably be puking and throwing up and crying and pissing.
I'm pretty sure we have that like stored away somewhere on Trello. I have to find it. I gotta dig it up and I gotta share it with everybody.
Let's not unfurl that. Yeah, it was just disgusting.
It's nice to look back on your old work and like, oh yeah, this sucks, but I'm way better now.
Yeah, it's crazy. Because now I actually know how to draw things and characters and people. I honestly think my character drawing is way better than my background art now. So I'll have to dust off the background side of stuff. Maybe I'll learn some 3D, but yeah, I gotta set that to equilibrium.
Speaking of which, do you wanna talk a little bit about how the backgrounds and the character arts were meshed, like the process you went through to like make sure that it fit together well with the background, Elface?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Let's see. It's going to be like a boring answer because, like, as I said earlier, I was like everything I did was like trying to match. But there's also like the filters. I didn't apply this. I think the programmers did it.
Yeah.
Like they add like filters according to the daylight.
Oh, I think Megan did that actually. Yeah.
Yeah. And big shout out to Megan too for a lot of things, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really good. I think really old visual novels back then, they didn't have the engine capacity of Ren'Py. That's what we used for Lucid9. So they would have had to export all their sprites with the different color filters on top of them to represent like a day, like a character in the sunset and a character in the moonlight would have like a blue on them. But now we did that programmatically. So we had like a color filter, I think. Quote me on this, don't quote me on this. If someone can unpack the sprites, I think our sprites just have one default color, and I think that filter is programmatically applied, I think.
Oh.
Were you gonna say something, Elface?
No, I was just saying, like, I don't know the details of how they did it, but I just remember seeing like, oh, you can do that. Awesome. Like, I think the scenes that are playing right now is like examples of that, like with the light, like from the sunset light.
I think on Trello, you can find like the different versions of day, night, daylight, and sunset. They're like different filters. I think Megan, she applied the filters like artistically, and then she uploaded it to Trello, and then from Trello they put it on the engine. I don't know how it works on the engine side because like I'm very bad with programming, so like a lot of that was done by Ian, and like Ian was like a big lifesaver when it came to programming and fixing all the bugs and stuff. So a shout out to him. But it's crazy like how so many moving parts there are when it comes to like putting everything together, because you have to have the background, the character art, the writing, of course, and the music. But the thing about character art too is that you have to have them positioned in a certain way on screen, because an example here is like Masato, who's obviously taller than Ruri here, and you have to keep that consistency throughout the visual novel. And I think they have like this ratio thing they put on Trello, where they had the sprites like aligned in the programming, and making sure that they came out the right way, and they like pop on screen the right way, and they zoom out of the screen the right way. I think Dia did a good chunk of programming, I think, when it came to like sprite movement. I'm pretty sure he did that in the demo, at least. That was really interesting, the stuff that he played around with, and that was really nice, fun to see. So, yeah. Somebody was asking, it's a little off topic, but considering Lucid9, Lucid is in the name, I thought I should bring it up. So they were asking, where did I lost it? Have you ever had a lucid dream? Elface.
Yes, actually. Yeah, like when you like can kind of like half awake, kind control what you're doing and aware that you're dreaming. If I remembered definition correctly, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I have had it a few times. It's normally yeah, it kind of feels like being half asleep, half awake.
Yeah, it's a crazy feeling, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like you can like, oh, I'm dreaming, but I'm already in a setting that I'm dreaming, but I can decide what to do while I know I'm dreaming. But it generally just leads to waking up at the end.
Do you know how long they usually last? If you do have them?
I don't know about time. Like, that's kind of hard to tell when you're sleeping, I feel.
Oh, that's true, yeah. What about you, UFO?
Yeah, I've probably had it like twice in my life. Once as a kid, that I don't remember. And the most recent lucid dream I had was ages ago, but I remember it very vividly because it was basically, I was in my dream. I was in year 8 camp, and for some reason, I started lucid dreaming, and then I realized that I was in a dream, and that I knew all these people. So that was super weird. So I sort of felt like a time traveler, and yeah, I just spent the whole dream just talking to people and being like, "Oh yeah, I remember this about you," and then I'll just be like, "What? How do you know that?" But yeah, lucid dreaming is a very weird feeling because you're aware of your actions, but I wasn't able to control where it went. Like a lot of the dream sequence would play out automatically, but I'd still be aware of what I'm saying and doing, but I couldn't control the outcomes, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
That's sort of the lucid dreaming experience for me. I'm never able to be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go to this castle and this dragon's gonna appear. Nope. If anything, the castle will spawn, and that's all it ends at. That's all it starts at. Yeah.
For me, when I get like lucid dreams, it's often like as I said, like it's difficult to actually control it aside from being aware.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I have fun dreams, like fun stuff. But I realize that, oh, I'm dreaming. But I'm like, I want to know what happens next, and I just pray that I don't wake up, because once I wake up, I won't know the outcome. But when I think that, I do wake up, and then I'm like, dang, cliffhanger.
Yeah. What's funny is like when I have, I've never actually had a lucid dream before Lucid9. I'm not saying that it like happened because of Lucid9, you having lucid dreams now. Nah. It was like a couple of years after. I've had 3 of them in my life. One of them was recently, but every time it happens, like instead of like, oh yeah, I'm dreaming, I'm gonna do all this cool shit, I'm gonna fly up in space, fight Martians or something. Nah, usually the first thing I do, I walk up to like the most mundane object, like a tree or something. I'm like, oh my god, this looks so realistic, and I just touch the tree, and then I wake up. That's like the only thing that I do in the dream. But it's like it's crazy, like how it works, because like you're aware that you're dreaming, and so like everything turns HD, and it's really hard to tell like. It's I guess for me it's like less that I know that I'm dreaming and more so that I know that like oh this something's strange but this looks really realistic and I'm trying to think of the content of my dreams. I think usually it's mostly me like looking at a really specific thing and like going up to it and like appreciating how real it looks. One of them was like I was walking up to like a train station, and I was looking at the train whizzing by, and it was like a sunset. It was really nice and picturesque and realistic looking. And then the next one was like I was in a futuristic office where like this globe was like turning around like a spear, and that was really trippy to see. And then the next one, I was like walking down the street, and this crowded street. And don't know where exactly, but it was like in a big city, and I saw a tree and it was huge, and I was like admiring the tree and how real it looked. They're pretty mundane, the dreams that I had that were lucid.
You dream about trees?
I dream about trees, but yeah. Oh my god, it sounds a lot like Ryota. It's just admiring the red in the trees. Oh yeah, but those were my dreams. The trippiest dreams that I've ever had, it actually happened a couple of weeks ago when I was staying at a friend's house for her birthday. I was sleeping, because I was super drunk, so I asked her if I could stay at her place. I'm like, yeah, she's like, okay, yeah, you can stay. And I slept, and then I woke up, and everything was normal. I was talking to them, and then I realized, oh shit, I'm still dreaming. This is a dream. And so, like, when I realized that I was still dreaming, I woke up, and then everything went normal again. Oh wait a minute, I'm still in a dream. I was having a dream in a dream in a dream,
Oh.
and I've never had that in my life, and it was so
I've had
trippy.
a couple of those. It honestly feels like dementia. Like I'd be talking to someone. I'm like on the like brink of just exhaustion. I would fall asleep. I'd dream about that conversation. I'll wake up like 5 seconds later, and I'll just look at me like, "What the fuck did you just say?" It's so weird. I don't know if that was what it was like for you, David.
Yeah, honestly, it kind of scared me a little bit because it happened so many times that I wasn't sure I was gonna wake up. Like it got to that point. I'm like, oh shit, am I actually gonna wake up? Is this still a dream? And then I woke up and I was like sweating.
Scary.
Yeah. After a while, it kind of gets scary. I'm like, okay, I want to wake up now. I want to go through this anymore.
Oh no.
Let me go through a couple of other questions. Certain element. Wait, is this a question? Certain elements in the Discord have expressed. Oh no. Oh yeah, Masato is jacked. Everybody likes how swole he is in the continuation of Lucid9.
Oh yeah, I did my best.
He does a lot of exercising, despite all the fried chicken he eats. Yeah, he exercises. He runs a lot. I wonder how his leg muscles look though. He never skips a leg day.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I feel like how jacked he looked in the continuation. I feel like that also has something to do with not necessarily like a conscious choice. Like I knew like him as a character, he's supposed to be like lean and muscular, right? And even in the original Lucid9, but at that time I did not have the anatomy skills to even emulate something close to that. Also, the blazer kind of covers it anyways.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like if I had like designed him today, like with the school uniform, and stuff. I think, yeah, like when I look at this sprite right now, like on the screen, I have it on. I'm like, man, like no muscles.
No muscles. He's just a twig. But now he's muscular. This kind of ties into my question. So, which one of the characters did you like? I think you told me before, but which one did you like drawing the most?
I enjoyed like just base. I remember getting like the description for the character, and I enjoyed designing Yahiko. Also based on the personality that was given to me. And also no shame. I like designing blonde guys. I think. I'm just gonna admit that. And I like that he was like a character that's like supposed to be like a comic relief type, but he was also supposed to have like more depths, like hidden. And I like that. I like that concept a lot. I like designing a character that is not necessarily what they look.
Yeah, I don't know how. It's not groundbreaking now, but back then, anime was very tropey. It was like very, very, very tropey. I don't know about visual novels, and I can't remember who added that personality trait to Yahiko, but I really love how he turned out. So whoever did do the writing for him, he is such a great character, and it's very. I imagine that it would, at the time, Little Busters, the visual novel, and the anime, I think that might have influenced his character. Correct me if I'm wrong, because there were a couple of comic relief characters in that show who ended up having quite a bit of depth as you kept watching. So Yahiko is amazing. I love his design too.
I'm trying to remember who wrote like his initial character.
Oh, I remember Megan being so.
She was so angry how his initial.
She hated how he was.
She made it a point to let everybody know, what the hell were you guys thinking? We're not gonna put this in. And yeah, you know, looking back, yeah, she was totally right. Like,
Yep.
the way he was gonna be written was like, yeah, no one's gonna like this guy. He's gonna be.
Megan saved Yahiko.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so lovable now.
But basically, he was just gonna be like a big pervert. That was his only trait. He's like, just a pervert. No redeeming traits. But that was crazy.
Oh man. Imagine if that was today's Yahiko. Oh, no.
Oh, nobody would like him. Honestly, like from what I see from like the community, I think he's a fan favorite. I think everybody likes him. He's considered the best girl on the Steam poll. Did you guys know that?
No, I did not know.
Yeah.
Actually, I saw that.
Yeah, I think he was leading Rui a good number. I think Rui was like second, and then Yahiko was like first place. It's like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
That's my best skill.
It's like when I was designing the character, like for like Yama, you get Yama, and when I design Masato, you get Masato. Like they are what they see, you know. Is what I mean. I mean, there's more to them, obviously, like depths and stuff. But I feel like it was like the twist and like depths was more obvious in Yahiko. I feel. Like as you said, like today, it probably wouldn't be that unique, I guess. But then, I just really liked it.
Yeah, Megan did such a good job with like taking because when the characters were first written up, they had like the base like trope. So basically like Yahiko was gonna be supposedly the pervert. Of course she didn't like that, so she changed it to make him to like the funny guy instead, you know, comic relief. And it worked really well for him. And the same thing with the other characters. Masato, he was the buff guy, but he also had another side. He was also smart. He was a genius. and they have like these layers that Megan added to them that really make them come alive. So that's something I really appreciated with her writing.
Like one thing I respect a lot with your writers, like how like Lucid9 turned out, is like yeah, you know, like at first glance, Lucid9 is very like tropey, right? At first glance, but it's like the subversion of tropes is what I think shines.
I agree. I think because just because of the nature of anime and the tropes associated with that, I think a lot of people would have tried to emulate some of that stuff, but it doesn't translate well, right? Like, you know, kawaii, like over the top reactions, like Japanese hentai perversion stuff that Megan really hated. I don't think that would have carried over too well. So I don't know if there was a conscious decision there to make the characters a lot more grounded and relatable, but I think that really played off for us in the long term, because you know you're not getting distracted by all these weird sort of like crazy yelling type characters and not dropping panty jokes and stuff every other second. It was quite grounded. So yeah, nah, that's a good point. Good point, Alpha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say something. The fact. Wait, I lost my train of thought. Somebody mentioned Govermaker and my mind went pop.
Okay. Some things were adapted. Okay. The Gundam stuff. That's hilarious because it was getting parodied. Same with like the idol sequences. I think Megan was like into K-pop at the time too. Some of that stuff is definitely like slipping through the writing.
It's yeah. Govermaker was so hilarious. I think Govermaker was like, it was a join thing. I think what's his name, Sean, was doing. I think he created like the idea of a Govermaker scene with Yahiko, and I think Megan was the one who expanded on it and like wrote the characters in and the different scenarios. What's really funny about that is like the fact that it kind of references K-pop and some stereotypical stuff with like the French and the Americans, and I think even Dia and I were referenced in one of them, just because of our ethnicities. So that was pretty funny. I think
that was good. I have like a wall folder that's just named Govermaker, like with all that.
I think that like we were planning to make more episodes of that, but we never got around to it because it just like I guess we didn't find a place for it the further we got into the visual novel, because it got like pretty heavy later on. But so
are you saying that we'll never see Govermaker ever again?
That's what some people have been asking, and like I really want to like continue it. I think there's a place to continue it. I think even the writers like have a couple of instances in their routes where they have like a scene for that, but I'll make sure that they include it. I'm pretty sure it's not like impossible not to include it. So
yeah, we gotta get with the times. We've got an interactive mobile device, don't we? Like, there's definitely gonna be some sort of Valhalla-esque component there where you just press YouTube and you just see Yahiko's bullshit or whatever.
They're like he probably doesn't do it anymore since he got arrested for his crimes for like posting that kind of stuff on the internet, and they took it down. It fits yeah, it fits with the dystopian aspect of Lucid9.
I thought they would have appreciated that being there. It's the Americans have requested that we take down this video. It demoralizes them.
I think what would be really fun, but I'm not sure how to go about it exactly, the execution. But if we had like an actual web series with like voice actors and like art, and basically like a Govermaker scene on our YouTube channel, play out like a full episode, just like the whole thing. I think that'd be pretty cool. But I have to like manage that and like make sure. It depends how the Kickstarter goes too. Like, if it succeeds, we might have to do like a separate thing for voice acting. If we don't reach like the goal for the voice acting. But if it doesn't succeed, then we're just gonna like go about how we were normally. And I have like a lot of interesting ideas how to like implement fun stuff like Overmaker into like our website or like our YouTube channel, or like have bits and pieces of lore written into like a scene that you can read on the blog or something. Stuff like that. I think that'd be pretty interesting to try out, depending how things go. But
yeah, that's fun.
Govermaker was like, a lot of people are like, I want to see more Govermaker. There wasn't enough. And
I can say that on my side, it was really fun to draw out CGs for that one.
do you know like why? Oh yeah, the reason why it was drawn that way is because like Hiko's roommate was drawing stuff, right? Do you remember how that went exactly?
Like how we ended up like drawing.
Yeah, the art style for the scenes.
Well, I actually don't remember. Like, how did we decide on it? I wonder if I have some concepts. Let's see. I got the story, I think, but how that became the art style, I actually don't remember how we went about it.
I think from what I remember, Dia said that Yahiko, it was kind of like a group project with Yahiko and like his roommates or like his classmates or something, and so they were doing like this thing, but I don't, because there's a scene with Yahiko, like he's wearing a dress, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, it's not exactly like they, unless they, I don't know, because from what I remember, I think it was like they drew the series, like the characters in the game like hand drew the Govermaker scene, so that's why it looks the way it does. But I don't.
That might be.
Yeah, I don't remember if that's exactly how it played out. I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, I just remember it was supposed to be like a parody, so you were not supposed to take it seriously, and therefore, like the art style should also not be like taken seriously. Like it should be like different from what we see in the rest of the visual novel. Like you can tell that it's a show in a story. And it just became funnier that way, so it worked out.
I'm looking through a couple of more questions here. Okay, here's one. What was the most difficult background to make, and what was the most difficult character design to make? Elface, you can start with the males.
The males,
Yeah.
the characters. I think maybe at the time I struggled with Masato's hair specifically. I remember that. Because I had before then I had never drawn someone with like hair, like slicked back hair. But at the same time, I wanted like to make them all unique. All the boys, I wanted to make them all unique. So I wanted to try this hairstyle that I've never really done before. So I really struggled with that. And also, let's see. Also Jiro for similar reasons to hear. Yeah, I think those were the most difficult ones for me.
I'm trying to see if there's a scene with Ryota and Masato. We're in the Govermaker scene. I'm seeing Masato, Ehiko. And he's probably, oh, here's Ryota. Okay, yeah, I can see what you mean. Yeah. Hair is really difficult when it comes to like drawing. I tried drawing hair myself when I first tried, getting to visual novel and stuff, and it's so difficult. Like, you have to figure out like where the hair stems from and like the way it flows. And the way I drew it was like I just drew the hair, and it was like just straight lines all the way down. And it was really. I'll probably share that on social media, but it was like really horrible the way I drew it. But yeah, hair is pretty tough when it comes to like drawing characters. Did you have any issues with well, I was gonna say eyes? Because I know eyes are another difficult thing. I don't know, maybe it's different for like anime style, but this generally from what I heard that they're kind of hard to draw.
Yes, actually, the thing is that once again referring to the female sprites, me and Dizzy, like when you look at Lucid9 sprites and then you look at my other art, it does not look similar. So we actually have very different styles when it comes to drawing eyes. So I remember when drawing their eyes, I was like having her art beside me as a reference. And so yes, that was challenging for all of them. And I also had to like draw her because the guys have smaller eyes. So I had to like emulate the same kind of feel that the females have, just in like a smaller space.
Hmm. And you kind of.
She's very.
Sorry.
Oh, I was just saying that she's very good at like lighting. I'm not as good. I'm not that smooth with it. So she's very good like adding like shine and like the layers. So initially that was challenging, but I think after I drew with her once, and I saw her progress, and yeah, I learned. So I'm all good.
Yeah, I was gonna say something. Yeah, that's a thing that you see often in anime too. Like sometimes it's just the way the genders are. Usually the female, the girls are like they have bigger eyes, and the guys are usually like more narrow and I don't want to say like serious because it's a little different depending on the style of the visual novel. Because if you look at something like Grisaya, I think you can see like the main character's eyes is pretty like narrow and serious, and the females are kind of like big and colorful. Whereas if you go to like Little Busters, I think there's the main character. He kind of has similar eyes to like the girls as well, from what I remember of that VN. So it's like it's also like really dependent on the tone that you want to set throughout the story and how you want the characters to come off as, like whether they're like serious or like innocent and stuff like that. And you guys did a really good job of like portraying that and in the characters and how they appear, especially with Ryota. Like Ryota's like, I think he's like peak design here. So for the background. So did you have any difficult backgrounds that you had to draw, UFO?
Starting off mostly because that was still during the paint over era. So I would say depending on what kind of style you're going for is going to scale with that difficulty. So the Makoto Shinkai style paint over stuff, that's basically just essentially like you're doing like a overpaint on existing photos. You'll do some manipulation here and there. Maybe you'll Google like trees or extra buildings that you want to drop into your scene. That does require a good understanding of perspective. So I think a lot of difficulty will be just getting assets for that. If you're doing it with line art, that gets really time consuming because now you have to draw every single line. You got to make sure everything's perfect. God forbid you have a lot of chairs in the scene. And then lastly, 3D, it's its own discipline. So that's like, now you have to learn a entirely new different tool. So a lot of the backgrounds that I struggled with, basically depended on where we were in the project, because I would have adjusted my style differently. So paint over, funnily enough, there is a common thread. Anything that involves trees, that was like a really long running joke in the team, I think. That was hard to do because I didn't know how to paint or draw trees properly. You can probably tell in some of the backgrounds that like a crappy Photoshop leaf brush was used, because all the trees are uniform and there isn't any sort of variation there. So yeah, there's a lot with background drawing. It's definitely like a bit more strict in terms of just design. I would say the difficulty for backgrounds is basically in anything you do, because there's just too many factors, because a lot of the artwork was grounded in reality in some way. You know, you're going to be in a bedroom, there's going to be like a city building, any sort of landscape, there's going to be an influence of reality there. And if it looks weird or wonky, the audience is going to be able to tell straight away that it doesn't look right. So I think if I could go back in time and give myself some advice, it'd probably be go study actual architecture, and go spend more time outside referencing things, because each of those backgrounds had its own set of challenges. And you know, we don't have a lot of like made up areas in the game. They do get a little crazy in post inciting incident. They're definitely a lot more varied, but still, it was, you know, at most, if I had to do something out of comfort zone, it would be like, hey, make this train station look a bit more futuristic. Like, what does that mean, right? Because the game, the story was still set in this sort of neo-future, not quite modernized futuristic world yet, but it was getting there with the technology that was talked about in the story. So yeah, I'd say most of my difficulties were with anything that involved architecture, because I'm not an architect. I don't know how buildings work. I don't know how they're supposed to be shaped. So yeah, that sort of discipline is probably the same as doing character art. You got to learn your fundamentals and your anatomy. Same thing with this. Learning the anatomy of buildings, learning how hills are shaped, how trees are drawn. That sort of boring stuff. So I basically had to do a lot of touch and go as I was making the backgrounds, and it's not ever enough time, but because we're a collaborative project doing this for no money, we're sort of just going as we go. So yeah, that's hopefully now that we're a bit more settled, there's a lot more time to learn stuff as we make it. But yeah, that's how it went.
Yeah, there's something I noticed, like especially when it comes to like not just like sci-fi, but any like setting that's somewhat futuristic, and you don't really have like the proper real life reference for it. You kind of have to like go off of the closest thing and like your imagination, and
Yes.
that's really difficult to do, and I can't even imagine it. Like I tried background art myself, but I can't even make like regular backgrounds and like building shapes. So
Yeah. I think really good advice here is this sort of thing. I heard this from Feng Zhu, who has like a concept design school, and he's worked on like Star Wars projects. But if you're ever doing futuristic stuff, have you ever noticed how grounded in reality that sort of thing is? So for example, with Star Wars, like the very first few movies, like, you know, even though it's like alien and lightsabers and laser guns, for some reason the story still begins on like a desert planet with this culture of like scavengers. Even though we're talking about futuristic concepts, movies now probably similar, like Dune, you're on a goddamn sand planet with a giant worm. So there's still some basis in reality there, which is probably the best way to do it. Blade Runner, for example, that's another good example. You know, futuristic. You've got all this like holographic technology and AI and robots. Still about some dude running through the streets with a gun. Like, some things just never change. So I think, yeah, designing futuristic stuff is definitely hard. But as long as you piece it around a piece of reality, it will probably make your life a lot easier, and it makes it more interpretable if you're reading stuff. So that's a good way to do it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like, to be honest, I haven't played many visual novels, but when it comes to like sci-fi or futuristic, like near future visual novels, I don't come across many. And I think a reason of that is just like the difficulty. Plus, a lot of people like familiar stuff. So when it comes to visual novels, a lot of the visual novels are usually like set in a high school, and like in a typical high school, and like high school characters and shenanigans. That's kind of what Lucid9 does, but you know, when you get later on in the story, it kind of morphs into something else. But that's one of the main aspects that visual novel they contain, not just like in the West, but in Japan as well. And I think that familiarity a lot of people in this genre really like. I think that's why a lot of people like Karawa Shoujo. It's just because they like really connected with the characters and how they felt like, what's the word I'm looking for? They saw themselves in the characters. Like, they can really relate to them. They're relatable. And that kind of like plays in with a lot of like why sci-fis aren't that of a common thing. I think there's probably a bunch of visual novels that are like sci-fi that I haven't read, but I think that's my take on it. It's just like it's a bit out there, and a lot of people like familiarity.
Yeah, like a sci-fi visual novel I can think of would be like Love. And even that is like, it still has like a school setting, I think.
Yeah.
There's some sort of like academy backdrop element to it, which keeps it relatable and fun. It's like fun, right? School life is such a fun genre. It's probably I think it was Dia's favorite. And everyone really liked that concept. It's
a bit strange, I guess. There's some, from what I read, like on reviews and stuff about the visual novel, about Lucid9, I mean. Some people really like the slice of life, and some people don't like slice of life at all, and they don't want to see it. And I guess that's a common thing when it comes to I guess it's also like a culture thing, you know. Maybe I'm generalizing a bit too much, but I think here in the West they kind of like more serious stuff, and like serious visual novels and heavy topics and stuff like that. And out in the Japan, they kind of like go, it's like over the top a lot. It's like a fun shenanigan, stuff like that. But in my personal opinion, this is like a time and place for everything. I think you can have both in the same product. But I'm kind of losing my train of thought here with this topic. But slice of life, pretty much, I like it. And I think it works really well for this VN. Maybe it drags out a little too long writing wise, but I think that's part of that is because it's not the complete game, and I think once people like take the full visual novel in with the continuation coming up, I think they realize, yeah, I can see why a majority of like the first part was this way, while the continuation, you know, has a different tone to it. And it's like a balancing act when it comes to stuff like that. You have to like make sure everything is, you know, not too serious and not too like playful. It depends on how the scene plays out and the plot of the story. Tying into that, somebody asked a question. Were there any emotional, like, wait, I lost it. Okay, here it is. What's one scene or drawing that you made that got you the most emotional? I guess Fro, you can answer this. Like, were there any backgrounds that made you emotional? Spoiler alert. Just in case nobody read Lucid9 yet, or it's probably gonna get into spoiler territory with this question. So.
Unfortunately, it is a spoiler, but I actually did have involvement with one CG, which did have background elements and some character element, and that one was probably the most emotional one, since it was very visceral. There was a lot of blood. There was a lot of blood. There was a lot of loneliness, and there were a lot of sirens. So I won't reveal too much, but I think I gave enough hints for the people who've read to know which scene that I'm talking about. But yeah, that one was a bit rough, both mentally to draw, and also because of all the critiques that I had to use to improve it. So that one had to go through a few revisions because the drawing was a bit flat. So yeah, just being stuck on that one drawing with the same guts and general degeneracy of it definitely got to me a little. But yeah, that's what I can think of. I'm not sure about you, Alpha. What do you have?
Like, yeah, for me it's a little more difficult because I mainly drew the sprites. I don't really have much involvement with like the CGs of like the important scenes. So yeah, this one is a little more difficult, but I do. This is also spoiler territory, but I'm also not sure if like how much has been revealed. So it's about like part 2, like when I design like specific characters. I'm like, oh, like here they are. I guess that's what I will say.
Have you? I guess. Have you ever drawn like not so much like gore, but any like emotional pieces? Not necessarily for like this visual novel, but like in general. Do you have like any emotional connection when you make like more serious drawings?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I'm the type, like when I draw something, I try to I don't do it on purpose, but like when I draw something, I feel like my mood kind of changes depending on the mood of the art, and I do notice that when I draw sad stuff, it feels like it's kind of weird to explain because you kind of get like the emotions, like let's say you're drawing a character crying, and you feel like crying, but you're not actually sad. If you get what I mean, like you kind of like try to live into it, like if they have like a sad like angry expression. I sometimes unconsciously try to mimic the expression while I'm drawing it. It's something I've noticed. I guess in that case, like even if I can pick something like outside of the game itself, some of the promo arts or like the fan arts of Lucid9 itself that I've drawn, especially with Yama, like the one that was drawn for like around New Year's a few years back. Man, it's been quite a few years. 4 years ago? No, 5 years ago? 2018 on New Year's, I think I drew it. And Lucid9 promo, like I drew like Yama with like the chains around him. I guess that one was one of the more emotional pieces I've drawn, even though it's not specifically in the game. But it kind of shows like his inner turmoil. Was my goal when I drew it. and like I guess it gives you like a hint of how the story is progressing, I guess.
Yeah, it's I guess when generally like when you're talking about artistic expression and not not necessarily just like art wise, but like even if you're like writing something, there's like an emotional connection that you have with the characters that you're making or that you're creating, and your mood changes depending on like the scenario you put them in. I don't want to spoil too much, but like the ending of Inciting Incident, the way that I didn't write that myself, it was Megan who did that, but the way she wrote it, it was like you spend so much time with these characters that you kind of like have an emotional connection with them, and
That was haunting.
yeah,
Haunting.
especially it's a little different when it comes to like when you're just like a reader and you're seeing stuff like this happen to characters that you're reading about, compared to like you created this character and you're the one who put them through all this, you know, and you're putting them through all this like pain and happiness, and you kind of like feel that. So it's like a different experience altogether, creating something and like reading something, and it's one of the like main things that really appeals to me when it comes to like this genre in general. Just like the fact that you can grow so attached to these characters and write about them and draw them, and you'll still remember them years later. Especially this project in general, like it's been so many years that we've been working on this, but like I still remember a lot of like these characters. I still remember how they act and how they would act, and it's just something really special to me, and it's one of the reasons why I haven't like, you know, completely given up on this, because I love it so much.
I feel like also since as I said earlier, I wasn't too involved with like the CG for like the important scenes, right? And because of that, I actually had the luxury of like experiencing the game from beginning to end without knowing like all the details. And it's very interesting to see like how all the writers and programmers made the characters come to life. Like, oh, I drew this, but they're like, but this is who they are. And it's very very moving to like see my part being like coming to life. I'm really bad at talking today, but
Oh no, yeah, I understand what you mean. So like it's just the
Yeah.
fact that you create something and then you see like it all put together and how it plays out. Yeah.
Yeah, and like some like I make those expressions, like I make a lot of expressions for the sprites, like sad and happy. And when I do it, it's kind of like, okay, you just have like sprite number 1, 2, 3, 4. But when you see those expressions with the scene, it kind of changes. And I think that's really crazy.
Hmm.
Like, it's a very different thing to get told that, oh, draw this character like sad, right? And seeing them sad in the story. And it gives a way more emotional impact when it's actually in the story.
Hmm. Yeah, when I worked on this project, like the thing that made me happiest was whenever the art was made. You know, when you guys posted something and I'm like, "Oh, yes, art. Yes, I want that." Because as a writer, like you have stuff envisioned in your head. And it's not exactly like one for one, because, you know, depending on what you have, it's not exactly how the artist is going to envision it. So once you give the artist like reference material, you give this is how I want the character to sort of look like, but you're free, you have the ability to like take it in a different direction if you feel the need to do so. And the fact that, you know, just seeing that unfold, you know, and have it all put together in a product like this, and seeing all the writing you do, and I'm speaking as a writer, the writing you do, like created as an art as an art piece or like a character come to life. It like really adds another dimension to like just the stuff you envisioned in your head, and it's kind of like backwards when it comes to like artists. You might have like reference material for a character, but you're not sure how they act. But once you start reading their writing, and you kind of like, oh yeah, so this is how they are. You know, you kind of
Mm.
grow a fonder attachment to them. So it goes both ways, like for the writers and for the artists. I'm sure it goes the same way for the musicians as well, because
Mhm.
when it comes to the music, they have to like know a little bit more about not just like the story and the mood, but like the style of the art. And I've made a couple of tracks myself, like not for this project, but for some other stuff. And usually, what I do is I always look at like a piece of art, like an art scene, illustration, and I kind of like build off of like the feeling that it gives me. And that's how I make music. I'm not sure how the composers, if they do it the same way, but that's my experience with it, at least. So, oh, we're running about an hour and a half. Ooh,
Oh, really?
yeah, went by pretty quick. So we'll take a couple more questions, and if you have any questions to ask, feel free to ask in the chat. I think there's one that I came across just now. What was the inspiration for the friend Akira has in the heroine prologues? I'm not sure if you mean like art style wise or like character wise, but if you want to talk about like the art style, Alphase?
For whom?
For Izumi,
Ah,
the smoker.
for Izumi.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Yeah, this one I mentioned it earlier. This stream, like how I designed one female character in the Wall of Lucid9 so far, and I remember Daya was the helped me with the design, I believe, and I got a lot of references for her, and I designed Izumi like while also thinking of Hisao at the same time. So they were like meant to match when I drew her. And my image was like this kind of cool, seemingly unbothered young woman, but also has a soft side. Like that was my image of her. And yeah, she was challenging for me because unlike the boys who I can have like artistic freedom with, this one had to like specifically match the girls, or else it would look really weird on the screen. I'm not sure if I managed it completely that well. I might have to make some tweaks in the future, but this is as close as I could get at the time of the design.
Yeah, I really like how the way you design them. I think you were working with Red with that, Red Lee B. He was like giving you reference material because he was the writer for that scenario. I think he has he has a thing for those kinds of those women, you know, the smoker, the cool ones. So
Yeah. Oh, and there was also one of the references I got was actually from Steins Gate. Was actually one of the references. What's her name again? The red hair.
Oh, was that Kurisu?
Christina. Yeah.
Christina, yeah.
Yeah, her. Like.
Oh, now I see it. I don't know that.
Yeah, Kurisu. Specifically the pants or the shorts. I mean. Specifically, that was. She was one of the references I had. Like the type of shorts.
Yeah, we have to like go back because it's been so long. And not just for the like the art style, but for like the writing too. We have to like go back and look over some stuff and make some changes because naturally like our skills are like way different from back then. So there might be some stuff that we can improve on and fix up for the next part for the continuation. It goes for the writing, for the art style, for the backgrounds, for the music too.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to like getting back into it because
Yeah.
this Kickstarter has like, oof, it's done a number on me. I'll tell you that.
Oh,
It's like it's been pretty crazy. I have before this I hadn't had any experience with like crowdfunding, but it was pretty. You know, even though it was difficult, it was pretty fun to get like learn about it. So
man, shout out to you for like such hard work for Lucid9.
I couldn't do this without you guys. You know, honestly,
We wouldn't be here.
if I didn't have a team behind me, I would be like, I don't know, I can't do this all by myself. But you
Nah.
guys have stuck around for like a long time, and I really appreciate that. Even though like you guys have been around longer than I have, I think. So you guys are the OGs. I'm just like the guy who came in like a month later.
Nah,
Like, it's-
you know, it doesn't mean anything. I mean, you're like everywhere, wearing multiple hats. Like, I know you're basically the community manager at this point. Now you're the product manager, and now you're a writer, and maybe a voice actor, and maybe like, you just do so much
Yeah.
that doesn't get noticed enough. I think. So yeah, I'm not surprised. You're like at the forefront of everything. So this
think-
project would have been long gone without you, David.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. I think depending like how things turn out, no matter what, I think we're gonna have to like change the way we go about things. Cause, and I kind of noticed this when Dio was around as well. Cause like so much importance is placed on like the director of the project. So like if something happens to the director, everything kind of like comes at a standstill, you know, because you have to like make sure everything's running smoothly with like the writers and the artists. So like we have to do like a revision of how the team members are, and I'm planning like if it's I can't talk right now. If the Kickstarter is successful, we're gonna continue how we continued before because there's like an incentive of like money, and so people have like a larger reason to like make sure they get things done. But if there's like if we don't succeed, we're just gonna have to like reorganize the way we do things. So we might have like an assistant director or like somebody who's in charge of like social media management, and to do that we're gonna have to like put out like a mass recruitment poster or something, so we can have like community members come in. Because at the end of the day, Lucid9 wasn't made by like just one person or like one person's idea. It was like a culmination of visual novel enthusiasts who came together from all over the world who wanted to make something because they were inspired by visual novels, whether it was Karawa Sojo or 999, and they wanted to make something themselves. And so, you know, there's a lot. I really feel like this project has a lot of potential, and I think people would be interested in helping us maybe achieve like what we have in mind for it. So we'll see how that plays out once the Kickstarter concludes on the 15th. So if you haven't shared it yet, if you haven't taken a look at the Kickstarter, make sure to do so. I'll be sure to put the links in the description on YouTube. I'll also put the links of Elfe's and Euphony's social media in the description as well, so you can check them out and their art stuff too. There's something else I want to say. Do you guys have any other comments before we take off today?
No, thanks for being here, everyone. I think something fun that we might be able to do once we pick up Steam is Elface would you like to host some sort of art stream with all the artists?
Oh,
Sort of like a
absolutely.
reunion.
Absolutely. Brings me back. We did one or two, like long time ago, I remember. Would be absolutely fun to do it again. So absolutely, yeah. I'll host it. Whether
Nice.
it will be on YouTube or Twitch or anywhere.
Oh yeah. It'll be fun because it seems like all out of the four of us, 3 of you have grown your online presence and platforms, and I'm just sitting here like, where's my live stream? I don't have a VTuber model. I already failed all the art checks. No VTuber model, no live stream, no social media presence. So I really need to shake off that rust before that happens.
I actually it was funny you mentioned that because I actually went on like an unintentional hiatus for like almost half a year. I feel okay, maybe not that long.
Oh no. Okay.
But I was thinking of getting back to it actually. Now. So yes, absolutely, I'll host it. No problems.
Perfect.
I look forward to watching that. I'm pretty sure that Elphase is like way better at streaming than I am, because I'm very rusty at this stuff. To be honest, I think I had Red do the streaming stuff before, and then he kind of got busy with other stuff. I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'll have to learn on all this. And it's a little complicated, especially if you have like a VTuber model, and you have to have that animated and put it on stream, and plus the game has to be running smoothly with the avatar. So I can't even imagine how difficult it is for streaming with a model like that and having to do all that. So I have to.
I can help out for future streams, setting up.
Oh yeah, that's nice. That'd be great. I'll let you know when we schedule another one. I think the next one we might do for the Kickstarter is going to be with the musicians. I have Jan who said he'd be interested. I tried to get Jason, but he's really busy. I don't know if you guys know, but he was hired to Blizzard, so he works for them.
Oh.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. He told me about it a couple of years ago. I'm like, damn, dude, it's crazy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Seems like everyone's doing good things here.
So I'll have to see if I can invite. Maybe I'll invite a couple of people I know from other indie VNs and see how that goes. But if you guys are interested in turning up for the musician side of stuff, you're more than welcome to do so. I think that's gonna be probably next week, Saturday, I think. But I'll keep you updated. So I think that should be it for this stream. It was pretty successful, I'd say. Not too scuffed compared to the last one. I had the writer. He was just all echo, and it was horrible. I'm sorry. I'll have to have him on next week if he manages to do it again. But yeah. Thank you for joining, everybody. Thank you, Elphase and UFO, for joining me for the stream today. I actually learned a lot about the art stuff. I knew a little bit, but I know a lot more now from what you guys done. But you told me a couple of things that I didn't know before. So, with the, it never went through my head the sci-fi stuff, how that affects backgrounds and stuff. So,
Yeah,
I'll try not to give you guys anything too crazy. Oh yeah, I got to make this building or this character super out there, without any reference material. But yeah.
No. Thanks for listening to my rambling. Thanks for the questions, everyone. It was really fun being here.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so catch you in the next one. I'll be sure to put the date of the next stream. I'm pretty sure it'll be next Saturday at the same time. So I'll let you know for sure on the social media platforms. So catch you later. Bye.
Yeah, everyone. Take care.
Bye.